Hi everyone, and welcome to the crochet tutorial for my Dip Dye Hat pattern. This is an easy level pattern and it's written in 7 sizes. Here you'll see the adult small size. You're going to need a G or 4mm hook, a tapestry needle, a measuring tape, and then you're going to need 2 kinds of yarn. I'm using the Lion brand LB Collection Merino Yak Alpaca. I used about a skein and a half of this as my color number 1, and then color number 2 is just our yarn from my own hand-dyed yarn shop. This one was called Marshmallow. It's from a few months back, but you can use any category 3 lightweight yarns. The yardage is in the written pattern linked below as well. So for each of the 7 sizes, you're going to need a different amount of each of color 1 and color 2. You're also going to need a faux fur or yarn pom-pom. That's optional, but I love this one from a girl on Etsy. It comes with these easy ties to just tie it onto the top of the cinch. It's really sturdy and it looks really polished and professional and just adds a little something extra to my hat. So once you've gathered your materials, let's go ahead and get started. I wanted to show you the pattern PDF here on my phone. This is the inexpensive PDF that's available in my Etsy shop, and here's what it looks like. The reason that I recommend this is you can have it on any mobile device downloaded, available offline, but also you can print it, and it has all the sizes here as I wanted to show you based on head circumference and inches. It has all of the details that are in the free version on the blog, but it's printable and easily to read offline, and you don't have to deal with any of the ads. Here's that yardage I was talking about with color 1 and color 2 for each of the sizes. And then the written pattern is there as well. I use this interesting chart method for this. It's a little easier to read, I think, and it kind of correlates to different letters in the written pattern itself. So you can see there that it's going to tell you how many chains after the color change you're going to need, how many stitches in each row, and then how many rows you're going to make. So when you look more closely at the entire written pattern, all of that will make more sense. So going ahead and getting started, this video is not intended to teach you all 7 sizes from start to finish. I'm showing you kind of the general idea of how to make the hat, as well as how to do that fun color change, and then how to assemble it at the end. So you'll definitely need the written pattern, whether you use the one that's free on the blog or you grab the inexpensive PDF for this. So just know that up front. I'm going to go ahead and make the preemie size. So I'm starting with color 1. It tells me that I need to chain 26 stitches, but I'm going to need to change color after 16. So I'm going to start with color 1. I'm going to chain 16. If you're looking at the written pattern while you're following this video, it's going to help to look at the numbers I'm talking about to kind of walk you through what those little charts mean. It's really not that hard once you get the hang of it. But so you'll see that in column B, it says I need to change color after 16 stitches. So I've changed 16. Now I'm going ahead and yarning over in color 2. I'm not doing any kind of fancy knot. I'm just yarning over in color 2, and I'm going to complete my total of 26. So that means 10 more beyond my 16. So once I've joined that color 2, I'm counting beyond 16, 17, 18, 19. So I should have a total of 26 chains here, 16 of them being color 1, and then the last 10 being color 2. So now I've completed that. I can just kind of pull really gently on those tails to make sure it's secure enough. It will be secure going forward. Don't worry about not like tying a knot or anything there. So this is how it should look. I'm going to continue on with color 2, and I'm going to skip 2, and I'm going to half double crochet in the 3rd stitch from my hook. If you're unfamiliar with chain stitches or half double crochets, there are lots of great videos for those individually all over YouTube and the internet in general. So look those up if you need a refresher, but I'm not going to be going super slow reteaching half double crochet in this video. So go ahead and half double crochet until you get to your color change. So I'm continuing to work with the color that I was already working with. And the only time I'm ever going to change color in this pattern is when I get to that kind of line that's going to start developing. When I get to that color change and it's a bit natural to change my color. So that means that I should be working about 8, since I did that skip 2, remember, about 8 stitches in my color 2, this marshmallow color. So I'm going to stop 1 stitch short of where that color changes on my foundation chains. This is how it should look. You can see there I have my half double crochets. I have 1 more stitch in my marshmallow color, my color 2, before it changes to color 1. So here is where the fancy magic happens. Are you ready for this? It's so easy. You're going to start your half double crochet by yarning over, inserting your hook in the stitch, and pulling up a loop. Now you're going to stop here. You're going to drop color 2, your marshmallow yarn that you've been working with, before you complete your half double crochet. So drop that. Forget it's there. Pick up your working yarn or the yarn attached to your ball from color 1, which is my purple. They call this dusty pink, but it looks purple to me. We're going to pick that up, yarn over, and finish the stitch. So what that's going to do is it's going to make the body of the stitch color 2, but the very top, that last loop on the top, color 1, and that's going to make everything look so seamless and perfect. Go ahead and continue on with color 1 for the rest of the row, just working half double crochets all the way down. When we dropped color 2, that marshmallow color, see how seamless that looks? It is so satisfying, I'm telling you. When we dropped color 2, we're just going to leave it attached to the ball because we're going to pick it back up on the next row. I'll show you how we do that here in a moment. So I'm just going to speed this up just a tad because we're just going to half double crochet back down the remainder of row 1. We're still on row 1 here. So we're just half double crocheting regular all the way down. I do want to mention that the rest of this pattern is worked in back loop only half double crochet, which I'll show you in a moment. But you don't have to do that if you're a very new beginner and you haven't made a lot of projects or haven't worked with half double crochet very much. You can do this whole pattern in regular half double crochet. I prefer the back loop because it creates a little more texture and it makes a slightly more stretchy fabric. I'll show you what you need to do with that. Just wanted to preface it by saying you don't have to add that stitch variation in there. Okay, so we've completed row 1, we've chained 2 and turned. Now we're looking at the wrong side or the back side of our work. This is where the color change is gonna have a slight difference from what we just did. We're gonna work up to the color change once again in color 1, so we're just gonna keep on working with that purple yarn, but we're going to work a back loop only half double crochet here. So we chain 2 and turned. To work back loop only, it's just like a regular half double crochet, except you don't go through both of those loops on the top of the stitch. You only go through the back loop or the one that's furthest from you as you're working. So you can see that it leaves that front loop kind of pushed forward, and it creates this really nice like linear texture to your finished project, and that will become more clear as you keep working. You'll be able to see more of that. So from here on out, all of my rows, all of my stitches, I'm going to be working into the back loop only, even during the color change. And it's just going to add a little bit of texture, and see how it kind of pushes stitches forward, and it just, I don't know, it has something to it where it just looks a bit more refined to me to do back loop only. It looks a tad more like knitting, and it gives it a little bit more stretchiness like knitting has, and I prefer knitted hats because they are a little bit more snug on your head, a little bit more warm generally than crochet hats, except for this crochet hat because this one's got it going on. Okay, so we've worked up into our color change. We have 1 stitch left before I can see that yarn change color. Now pay close attention here. We're going to yarn over, insert our hook, pull up a loop, stop. We're not going to just drop that purple yarn because we want it to sit on the wrong side of our work, which is the side facing us. So we're going to pull it around and hold it in front or along the wrong side of the work. So it was behind, we're going to pull it in front. I'm just going to hold it down, not with a lot of tension, but just to secure it in front with my thumb. Pick up that marshmallow yarn, color 2, and yarn over with it. Notice I'm not whipping it around the back of the work. I'm just pulling it up right on top, yarning over and finishing the stitch. Now you should see that both colors of yarn are going to sit on the wrong side. You can see where that color 2 was pulled up. It's like a tiny little strand that you can see moving vertically from where you pulled it up over the front. And then when we come to work our color change the next time on row 3, our working yarn for color 1, the purple, will be sitting on the back side of the work, or the wrong side, and that's just going to make the right side, which is the side that's going to face out for our hat, look perfectly seamless. You're not going to see any yarn carried up. All of the yarn being carried is going to be on the inside of the hat, which is the wrong side of our work. Hopefully that makes sense. When we get to our assembly later on, I'll point this out again so you can see where the yarn being carried is. So we've completed row 2, just working down. Once we change color, you just keep working with it until you get back to change your color again on the next row. So now we're working row 3, still working back loop only half double crochets. Once you get to your color change, we're going to begin that stitch just like we always do, the last stitch with the color we're working with. The only part we're going to change is the final yarn over. So now that we're working on the right side of the work, row 3, we're going to drop that yarn like we did in row 1. You're just going to drop it behind, because we always want our working yarn that we drop to be on the wrong side of the work. So don't wrap it around this time. Go ahead and pick up the purple from behind, yarn over and finish the stitch, and then continue on with color 1, or our purple here. And you're just going to keep going like that. Whenever you're working the wrong side, when the wrong side is facing you, that's when you do the wraparound maneuver, where you pull all the working yarn to what looks like the front, or what's facing you, the wrong side. And then when the right side is facing you, you're just going to pull up from behind so that that yarn is carried on the back side. If you need to pause and rewind, please feel free to do that as many times as you need to. I've only sped up the portions that are just doing a bunch of half double crochets, so don't worry if you think it's going fast. You can watch it as many times as you need to. So this is how it should be looking on the right side. Nice clean color change. And on the wrong side, you can see here that it also looks very clean. It's not messy on the wrong side either, but you can see that yarn being carried. Now I've finished all my row repeats. Calling back to the inexpensive PDF or on the blog, the chart is going to tell you how many rows you need to do for your size. This is the wrong side, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that. It still looks so clean and crisp, and this is the right side. In the video even, it's almost indistinguishable. When it's in front of you, you'll be able to tell, because you'll be able to see those little tiny strands of yarn kind of swiveling around each other almost on the back side or the wrong side. It is easier to tell in person, but even still, it really comes out nice when you do it that way. And you do the color change with that technique. It's really kind of remarkable. I want to use it for all my projects now. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and finish off leaving a long tail for sewing. So both colors we're going to finish off. So that color 1 that was just dropped, we're going to finish that off as well. I'm not going to worry about weaving any ends right now, because I'm going to sew the hat up. So what we need to do is we need to put the right sides together. So this is the wrong side here facing up right now, because that's what I just finished. I finished on the wrong side. I'm going to flip it over. Here's the right side. Just look at that color change. It's so good, you guys. So yes, here's the right side. We're going to just fold it over. The short sides are going to get seamed. So the shortest sides, the foundation chain and our final row is what's going to get seamed here. So so that we don't see anything getting sewn together, we're going to use each color to sew up its part of the seam. You want to start with color 1 here. I know it might make more sense theoretically to start with, the smaller one and then I don't know. But you're going to want to start with color 1, because we're going to cinch up the top after we do color 2. So start with color 1, your larger color block, and we're just going to seam with a mattress stitch. Think about lacing up shoelaces. I like to call it the shoelace stitch, but that's not the actual name for it. It's called the mattress stitch. So you're just going to kind of work from the inside out as if you're lacing shoelaces. Just go slow and make sure that you line up all your stitches here. If you started and ended with the same number of stitches in your row, which you should have, so you have a perfect rectangle, all the stitches should line up here just fine, and you won't have anything wonky. So just go slow and make sure you don't skip any or double stitch any. Should be looking like this. This seam is really not going to show my sister looked at my hat and she couldn't even tell where the seam was, and she crochets, so that's pretty good. Because we're stitching this on, remember, this is the wrong side facing out right now, so you won't even see this, even though that's a clean seam. The right and wrong sides of this hat really are very similar. So after you've gone all the way down and then woven that end, I'm going to use my long tail from finishing off with my color 2, thread my tapestry needle, and I'm going to seam up this little section here on top of the seam before I do my crown gathering. So I'm just going to come down here and seam up from the bottom of the seam, or where the color change is. I do have a bit of like yarn being carried down from where the yarn was finished off on the edge there, but it'll be fine. Don't yank on anything and it won't put anything out of place. So I'm going to just once again do my mattress stitch all the way up to the top, and then we'll do the crown gathering. The crown gathering is like the easiest thing ever. You're not going to believe it. This hat is just like so simple. Once you can wrap your head around that color change, you're just like home free. And it's great too because this hat is written in 7 sizes from preemie that I'm making here all the way up to large adult. So, I mean, the free pattern is great, but even if you bought the inexpensive PDF, you could use this over and over and over, use all different color change ideas, use these to donate hats to hospitals or shelters. I mean, this pattern is just like so easy and mindless, and it has such a great finished look that it's a great investment. It's not one of those patterns you're going to make once and then like never make it again. Okay, so once you get up to the top, we're not going to break our yarn. We're just going to go ahead and do our crown. So we're going to turn it so that our edge is facing up. This is what's going to be our crown. If you look at the stitches, you should see what look like almost like vertical lines from where we did those back loop only half double crochets. We're just going to basically like whip stitch through all of those lines. See here how I'm pointing those out? It looks like almost like rows of V shapes. So all I'm going to do is insert my tapestry needle from kind of outside to inside of our tube that we've made here. So this is really every other row. So just look for those vertical lines, and we're just going to sew from outside to inside. So it's going to kind of like whip around or wrap around. I don't know if you can technically call this a whip stitch, but it seems similar to a whip stitch enough so that I can get away with calling it that, don't you think? Give me a thumbs up if you think that this can be called a whip stitch. I don't know. All I know is how to make it look good. I don't know what things are called. You know what I mean? Self-taught problems. Okay, so you're going to go all the way around back to where you started. And then once you get back to where you started, go ahead and stitch right into that starting point. So we've gone all the way around, and now we're just going to pull gently on that strand, and it's just going to cinch it up. Look at that. It's so satisfying. It's so fun. So we're going to go ahead and keep our yarn on our tapestry needle or rethread it after you've pulled it. And I'm just going to sew kind of like back and forth a couple of times, almost like in a crisscross or like X shape manner, just kind of grabbing enough of a stitch to really like yank it and secure it. Almost kind of like back stitching over the crown gathering here, just to make sure that it's not going to like loosen and come apart at the crown, especially if you don't attach any kind of pom-pom up here. We don't want that to loosen and form a hole on the top. So after you back stitch it, you can weave all your ends at this point, turn it right side out. This pattern is written to have a cuffed brim, so the preemie size is so small that the brim is really not, there's not a whole lot of room there to cuff it, but all the other sizes have plenty of room to cuff it, as you can see on the small adult size. So that is all you need to know for the dip dye hat. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I can't wait to see all of your dip dyed hats. Please comment in the comment section below what color combination you guys are going to use. I can't wait to hear from you all. I hope you loved this video, and thanks for watching. See you next time.